reading in the podcast episode from, what are they called? Shit. Hi folks. So this is hopefully going to be a quick little video, a little bonus video, because I usually do just one video a week, but I'm going to add this one in. So I'm going to be talking about the prompts in my TBR for the Reading in Translation Readathon. This was initially announced as Translateathon, but it looks like the creators realized that there is another creative project already titled Translateathon. So out of respect for the people already involved in that, they changed the title to Reading in Translation. So anyway, I learned about this readathon from Sandra from Got a Thing for Things. And let's see, the readathon runs from December 21st to December 31st. It looks like most of the announcement and updates and stuff are going to go through Twitter. I don't have a Twitter, but I will have links for everything down below, and you don't need a Twitter to like read through stuff. So they also have a Google document with recommendations for different languages. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get into the prompts. So there are 7 prompts. Number 1, read a translated book from a language you would love to learn. Number 2, read a translated book from a language you think is the hardest to learn. Number 3, read a translated book from a language someone in your life speaks. Bonus points if you read a book that they recommend. Number 4, read a translated book from a language that hardly gets translated. Number 5, read a translated book from a language whose country of origin / the country where it's spoken you want to visit. Number 6, read a translated book that has won a literary prize. And number 7, read a translated book written by and translated by a woman. Also, browsing through the Twitter thread, there's kind of a baseline goal to read at least 3 books from 3 different languages. So that's appropriate because I'm committing to 3 prompts and maybe a 4th depending on my library. So I'm committing to question number 2, number 5, number 6, maybe number 7. So let's see. Prompt number 2, read a translated book from a language you think is the hardest to learn. I think that this is Chinese, maybe specifically Cantonese. I was just listening, I need to go and listen to the rest of this podcast, but I was listening to a podcast episode from Radiolab, and Radiolab was doing an episode about the challenges of using the Chinese language in computers, because they don't use an alphabet, they use characters. Being able to just like program computers in the early days of computers, and also like you can't, you know, the idea of like translating the Chinese language to a traditional like QWERTY keyboard. I didn't get to finish it. I need to go finish that podcast, and if I find it, I will link it in the description box below, because like the first half I listened to is really interesting. This is all to say, at least for me, I think any language that doesn't use a traditional alphabet but uses characters, like brain-wise, that's a whole translation thing that would be very difficult for me. But also, like as evident in that podcast, there is a lot of challenges. Like there was a thing in the podcast talking about like the challenge of trying to create a typewriter that could type Chinese characters. And just like the ways that language affects the way that technology has developed for them. Interesting. Anyway, so I selected A Hero is Born by Yongjin, translated by Anna Holmwood. This is the first in the Legends of the Condor series, which the like translation description, which is advertised as the Chinese Lord of the Rings. Okay, cool. High epic fantasy. Apparently there's also a TV show and it's on Amazon Prime. But anyway, I've started listening to it on audiobook. I'm like 3 hours into it and it's interesting. Definitely loving the fight scenes. There are just, you know, supernatural kung fu fight scenes. I've already seen some criticisms about the translation and some things. Whenever I finish it and I work on my wrap-up, I am going to look at some Own Voices critique about the translation choices, just to hopefully be able to speak to that a little bit when I do my wrap-up. But so far, I'm enjoying it. Prompt number 5, my second book. Read a translated book from a language whose country of origin you would like to visit. So I've got, from Japan, I've got Murder in the Crooked House by Soji Shimada, translated by Louise Heel Kawai. This is, I think, like a locked room mystery, which I don't really read a lot of mystery. I mean, I like watching mysteries. I like when there are mystery plot elements in books, but it's not really a genre I've explored. Locked room mystery seems a lot of fun. So yeah. Also all of these books I'm getting from my library. So prompt number 6, my third book, is read a translated book that has won a literary prize. I have stumbled upon Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmad Sadawi. So this has won the Arthur C. Clarke Award and the Man Booker International Prize. Story about my thought process here. So when I was looking for translated books, I was definitely noticing a trend from places like China, places like Russia, places like the Middle East, where there's a certain type of book that tends to get translated, and it's either like historical nonfiction or memoir or fiction that's very heavily influenced by historical or current events, and it's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of talking about, it's a lot of this person gets arrested and sent to the gulags. This person has been exiled from their country because of the things that they've written. Women who have escaped ISIS. Women trying to raise their children under the restrictions of the Taliban. Like, there's I figured out like what was like the unifying thread in all of these things was these are clearly books, or these are clearly stories intended for an outside audience. And they're probably very good, and these are issues that we as outsiders need to educate ourselves about, but I fucking know these are not the only stories being written. Where's the fantasy? Where are the romance books? Where's the coming of age books? Like, you cannot convince me that even though, like, these stories are kind of written for an audience within that country, you can't convince me that they don't also have international appeal. So I was on the hunt for something that was just a little bit outside of, tell me what's going on in this country. And so I stumbled upon Frankenstein in Baghdad. I gotta fucking read you this premise, because it sounds really interesting. So the short premise is, after he constructs a corpse from body parts found on the street, Hadi wants the government to prepare a proper burial. But when the corpse goes missing, a series of strange murders occur, and Hadi realizes he has created a monster. So, clear Frankenstein creates monster premise. Let's see, from my library journal, here's the longer description. That's, sounds so good. Rising Iraqi author Sadawi offers an incisive look at local life in Baghdad in 2005. The multiple narratives of El Shiva, an ancient madwoman, Hadi, the junk dealer, Majid, the brigadier, and Mahmoud, the journalist, intersect to form a complex whole. What binds these characters together is, what's his name? The reanimated body that Hadi has stitched together using body parts acquired as a byproduct of multiple bombings in the city. The lost soul of a soldier animates the Patrick body, and the story takes off. When What's-His-Name visits El-Shiva, she believes he is her dead son Daniel. He also visits Hadi, his maker, then embarks on a killing spree to avenge all the people who comprise his parts. As a piece of his body is avenged, that piece falls off, leading to a need for a replacement part. When Hadi tells Mahmoud about this Frankenstein-like character, Mahmoud writes an explosive story for his magazine. The Brigadier's paramilitary gets wind of the story and seeks to capture and kill the invulnerable monster. This complex novel weaves the experiences of a diverse group of Iraqis during the chaos of internecine warfare. This Iraqi perspective is one that may surprise and challenge casual readers. Highly recommended. This is a lot of what I was looking for. I think like the most powerful thing about fantasy, horror, science fiction is the ways that it uses the paranormal and like the supernormal as a lens to look at culture, to look at events in society. I don't know. I need to think about how I'm going to put this into words. Horror and fantasy in particular they got their start as social critiques at a time when you could not say those things explicitly. Anyway, this story sounds amazing. I'm so excited to read this. And then I had one more maybe prompt. I guess I've got 2 more maybe prompts picked out. So my maybe prompt number 1 is prompt number 1. Read a translated book from a language you would love to learn. I would like to learn Russian. So I have picked out The Winter Queen by B. Akunin, translated by Andrew Bromfield. And then my maybe prompt number 2 is read a translated book written and translated by a woman. This is on hold on my library, but I don't know if it's going to become available in time. This is also from Japanese. This is Where the Wild Ladies Are by Aoda Matsuka, translated by Polly Barton. Anyway, more thoughts to come once I read these and work on a wrap-up. I mean, I know like that the readathon has specific dates, which I'm not gonna try and restrict myself to only reading these books within these dates. Case in point, I've already started reading A Hero is Born. If I happen to have read them all in time to make a dedicated wrap-up during this time frame, I will try to do that. Let me know, have you heard of any of these books? Have you read any of these books? Are you participating? What are you reading? This is great. I'm excited. All right, I will have all of the description links and prompt list in the description box below. I will have links to my social media if you would like to connect with me elsewhere. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. I encourage you to go out into the world and be curious. See y'all in my next video. Bye!